Let's kick it.
Ice, ice, baby.
Hi, fans, and welcome to the second edition of Inside the Igloo. Alex Reed here with our second edition of this segment. It gives you an inside look at the Jacksonville Icemen hockey team, whether it be from a front office perspective, a hockey operations perspective, or visiting past players, which is going to be our topic here today. And without further ado, he's got me beat already in the best backdrop on this segment, but that is former Iceman captain and fan favorite Garet Hunt. Garet, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It looks like you're doing all right. That's a beautiful backdrop. Don't mind, maybe showing the people at home here. Look at that. Oh, gosh, it's there in the beautiful province of British Columbia, there in Canada. So I guess things are doing great for you. And where exactly are you in BC?
I'm up in the Caribou region. Actually in Lac-La-Hache, which is French for Lake of the Axe. I think back in the day, somebody found the lake and hacked through the ice and dropped their axe in the lake, and then they called it Lake of the Axe. And I'm actually just up here staying with my brother. He's got a pretty nice place right on the lake, and as I was just telling you earlier, I bought the lot right next to him, so we're side by side, right on the water, and hopefully plans for me to build right beside him.
Oh, that's great! Congratulations on that, and you and your brother, of course, your brother, a player in this league as well back in the day, and of course, a couple of tough characters there on the lake. You don't need an axe. You guys take care of yourselves without it.
I don't know. We've been working hard. We've been getting everything ready for the summer, and it's just a lot of work. You go away for the winter, and you come back, and you kind of got to put everything away for the winter. It snows actually quite a bit up here. When I came back after the season, the whole lake was completely frozen, and we were cross country skiing on the lake and playing hockey actually right on the lake, like right here behind me. We had the hockey nets in, and then everything thaws out, and you got to get the dock in. You got to get all the boats ready to go, and it's just like never ending work. So we've been busy, but it keeps us busy, and it's fun to do.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It looks great. I mean, seems like it's a great year-round spot. So, especially getting a chance to play hockey and ski on it. But and of course, you got a little bit of time, and it is the off season. And I guess the weird part is, how long is this off season going to go? I know that you did that. Mia O'Brien with First Coast News did that piece with you, just kind of talking about your experience playing over in China this past season, and then of course. When you look at it, there was so much interest from our fans when they saw that segment, wondering how you were doing, or they had been thinking about you. I thought it was just a great chance to get a little bit more insight and bring you into the fold here, answer some questions. We did take some questions from some fans on social media. We'll get to those in a little bit, but just know that a lot of folks in Jacksonville were certainly wondering about you, and that's why we decided to do this segment. And really, we'll get right into it, Garet. When you look at how things transpired. I mean, you were kind of right there at ground zero, I guess, where everything really started to get going. But you decided to go over to China and play. You had a great opportunity over there, and then obviously, things probably got a little interesting and a little unfamiliar with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. And when did you first learn about or did you hear about it? Did at the time, was it kind of this big deal, or is it something to keep an eye on, or did it just kind of blow up quickly like it kind of did worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, there's always kind of weird things going on. I'm not too big in the whole news, but there's some guys on the team over there. And, there was something that happened at the start of the season where somebody got sick, where they ate something weird in some province of China. Guys were talking about that. And then something else happened. And then all of a sudden it was in January. And then this whole virus with the Wuhan virus. And then one of our staff members was living close to there, and he said something about, there's a virus going through in Wuhan, and we don't really know what's going on with it. And it wasn't really anything crazy. And then we were getting ready to go for a road trip, and I think it was like a just under 2-week road trip, maybe 10-day road trip. And then after that road trip, there was an international break, and I was all set to fly because we were staying in Moscow, and I was all set to fly down to the Netherlands to visit my brother for the break. And then when we got on their plane, flew to Russia. They didn't really say anything about it. All they did was the night before they sent us a message saying wives and families that were living in China or staying in China are more than welcome. Any kind of family is more than welcome to hop on our plane and leave China until everything kind of gets sorted out. And then once we landed we have to refuel. We just have a smaller plane. We refuel. We can't make it all the way to Moscow. It's a pretty long trek for us in the plane. So we stop in Novosibirsk, Siberia, and we fueled up. And then when we landed there, our coach said, "Yeah, we're not going back to China. We're gonna finish the season on the road." So we played all the rest of our games. We played Moscow. We played Novosibirsk. We played one, and we kind of played home games on the road for the rest of the year, and then finished the whole season from January on. Finished it on the road, which was pretty crazy. And then as it progressed, it just got worse and worse, and the virus got worse. And then the season ended, and it was kind of haywire. I mean, guys were flying all over the country, and I think all the teams were ending at the same time before playoffs started, and it was like, man, I just made it home in time. I actually made it home 3 or 4 days before the mandatory quarantine in Canada here. So crazy.
It is. And so you mentioned you played some like home games kind of on the road, let's say. What was that experience like? I mean, were there fans from the team there?
We played guys in we played a game against Riga, which is a Latvian team. So we're a team from China, and then there's the Latvian team in the Russian league, and we played a game in Novosibirsk. So 2 non-Russian teams playing in Novosibirsk. We're like, but the city is like a crazy hockey town. Like every car window, it's like, honestly, it's like a Canadian town when like Toronto, it's like Toronto when the Leafs are in the playoffs. Like there's car flags, and it's just like really, really behind the city. And, it's just like Jacksonville, like great fans. And then all of a sudden we're showing up for the game, and there's like cars there. And we're like, man, this might be sold out. This game might be sold out. And it wasn't sold out, but there was the starting goalie for the Riga team actually had played in Novosibirsk before, and they really enjoyed when he played there, and he was kind of a star. So, I mean, every single person in the rink was there to cheer him on. So it was our home game, and they were cheering him on.
Right.
We played CSKA, which is the Red Army, in Moscow at the old rink that the Summit Series was played at, Canada-Russia Summit Series. We played them in that arena, and it was a home game for us. But they changed the ice. They put our logo in the ice. So if you're watching on TV, it's got our logo on the ice. It looks like everything gets changed over, and then but it was felt like a road game, but it was definitely supposed to be a home game.
Oh my goodness, it's interesting, and it's amazing. You hear all these stories that on other people's podcasts and stuff, and guys talking about stories, minor leagues, some of the wild stuff that happens at these levels. But I mean, this was one caused by just natural purposes, let's say. And now here you are playing packed houses, people, home games in which no one's really cheering for you. That's a different perspective. That's probably a new one on the list. So,
but actually in the ECHL, I think I have had that same situation. We ended the season. I was in Stockton. We ended the season in Alaska, and we started the season in Alaska. And then instead of coming back, we just played up there, and their home rink was something was happening with the Alaska Festival at the arena. So they had to move. So we moved to a different town. I can't even remember the name of it. It was a tiny little rink where it's like standing room only. So we finished the regular season, stayed up there, started playoffs. And instead of traveling back and forth, we just played 3 games up there after the end of the season. It was crazy. We ended up winning the series. It was huge.
Yeah, it's funny. You could probably ask your brother. At the year we were
Wasilla. That's where we played. Wasilla.
Oh, Wasilla. Okay, yeah. So,
yeah.
No, yeah, I know you could probably ask your brother about it, because the year he was in Wheeling and I was there as well. that season we played 10 home games in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, because Johnstown Chiefs had moved to Greenville.
That's right. Right.
They
That
won.
was the TV show with the Chiefs, and the guys were sleeping in the rink back in the day. You told me all about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
remember that now.
So 10 home games, kind of on the road. It was about a 2.5, 3 hour drive to go to a home game, and I think the owners, their hearts were in the right place. They wanted to kind of expand their market. They were with the Pittsburgh Penguins affiliation, and of course Johnstown's in Pennsylvania, definitely a Pens market, but also to keep hockey alive in Johnstown because there's so much history with the movie Slapshot and everything. But and I know we would go from there. We'd go from our home games in Johnstown. I remember one time we played the Trenton Devils. Johnstown on Friday. We went to Trenton and played them at their home rink in Trenton, New Jersey on Saturday, and then played them again on Sunday. They were doing something similar. They were doing it in Atlantic City. So we played the same team in 3 different cities and 2 different home rinks for the team. That's stuff that happens. But, unfortunately, this one happened because of COVID-19 and.
Yeah, but at the start of the year, we did something similar like that, like what you guys were doing there. We started the year down in Shenzhen, China, because everybody knows how many people there are in China. I think there's, I don't even know, I'm going to throw a number out and get stand. Somebody's gonna laugh at my number, but yeah. Obviously with the Olympics coming up with the 2022 and trying to grow the game, it's the Winter Olympics. China obviously is putting a hockey team in the Olympics, and there's so much untapped talent that could be discovered in the country of China, and just to grow the game, not many people are familiar with it, and with our team and our ownership, I think that's a big plan for them, is to grow the game. And we started the actual the season down in Shenzhen, which is just on the other side of Hong Kong. We started there for about a month and a bit. We started there and played a bunch of home games there, then left on the road, and then came back to Beijing, played in Beijing, and then the year before last year, they played in Shanghai. So they're playing home games all throughout China just to grow the game and to get people familiar with the sport.
That's
so
great.
And then obviously, like you said, at the end of the year, we couldn't go back, and we had to finish it out in Russia. But that was different.
Was there any initial panic when you guys couldn't go back? Like, hey, this was a serious problem, or any of the guys? Or was it still just you, or were there some guys getting a little on edge about it? Everyone's on edge about it, but at the time,
yeah.
About
it. Some guys are definitely worried about it, but at the end of the day, we're over there playing hockey. We had apartments. Like, I had an apartment, and it is what it is. I was paying for an apartment for 2 months that I wasn't even living in it, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And guys had stuff in China, and our team was going to do a great job of going around and making sure, packing stuff up for guys. And we have a really good staff there, and we have a couple of guys that work for us, and our general manager is great. And I don't think anybody was too worried about it. It was a little different for guys that had their families there, but most of the families, like I said, we were leaving on a 10-day or 12-day road trip, and most of the families travel somewhere for 10 or 12 days, and then we were transitioning right into the international break for about 6 days. So I think a couple guys' wives already flew to vacation spots, and then we're waiting for their husbands to come meet them on the break.
Yeah.
And so I think for the most part, our whole team was it worked out pretty good for us. And at the end of the year, I know everybody just flew home back to their wherever they're from, and then they got their bags and stuff sorted out. So it wasn't too bad. And like I said, it would have been way worse if it was like 3 or 4 days later. Then the flights would have been crazy. But we had been out of China for a long period of time, past the 2 weeks, so we wouldn't have had to really deal with too much.
I saw in Mia's story that you got a motorcycle still over there. Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's parked outside my apartment.
Keys are in it.
Keys are in it if anybody wants it over there. It's just sitting there. I was like, if I take the keys, I'm gonna lose the keys. I just hide the keys underneath, so it's sitting there, and I mean, if we go back and I go back, and I mean, hopefully it'll still be sitting there. If not, that's that it.
Oh man, I wish you all the best on that. So, well, listen, now we'll get into some of the fan questions. Because obviously, we talked about a lot of fans were very concerned about you over there in China, and we kind of opened up this little segment just to allow fans to ask questions, get their feedback, and get the answers they want. And we opened it up. So looking at a couple people on Facebook right now, and we have Jerry McGarry basically asking the question, how is playing overseas different from playing over here in North America? Also asking that question was Pam Thompson. So Jerry and Pam pretty much had the same question. What are some of the differences, if any, of the styles of play and maybe the experience playing in China versus here in America and the U.S.?
Great question. Definitely culture shock, leaving North America. My first time overseas. I've never traveled overseas on vacation really before. I've had no time really with hockey. Definitely the culture, off ice culture shock going over there. I mean, English is definitely not a first language over there, and it's very hard to get around, and it's very hard to learn the languages in China. They have Cantonese and Mandarin, and like I said, we started the year in Shenzhen, and then the second half of the year we were in Beijing, and it's two different languages in two different provinces. So if you start learning some words in Shenzhen and then you go to Beijing and it's a totally different dialect. So it's tough. You can get around just, we have our translate apps on our phone, and you're pretty much just talking into your phone and handing your phone off to anybody at the restaurant. That's pretty tough. Food, obviously. Our team does a really good job supplying food for us and figuring it out and making our lives really easy. Yeah. And the hockey, it was really good hockey over there. It's a Premier League in Russia, and there's obviously lots of good talent. We had some really good players on our team. Our goalies were, I think, the best in the league. They had unbelievable numbers. Jeremy Smith and Simon Hrubeck. They were excellent for us. They kept us in every game, and coaching staff was excellent over there. All three of our coaches had played I think over 700 or 800 NHL games. Our head coach was a captain in the NHL. Our goalie coach was won the Selke. Our defense coach won the Selke Award in the NHL, and our forward coach is Alex Kovalev. And so, I mean, we had pretty good staff. And then the only difference other than that, honestly, is instead of hopping on a bus, you're hopping on a plane. It's about the same amount of time, and once you get in the plane and the bus, it's pretty much similar. You're with all the guys, and I mean, the nice thing is about the bus, you can stop in at a gas station and load up with some snacks and drinks. But and you just got to make sure you're prepared and bring it all on the plane, because you ain't stopping at a convenience store. But no, it was really fun. I put in a lot of time over in North America. I pretty much traveled in every state and almost played in every rink in the ECHL, and enjoyed it. And it was just a good opportunity for me to go overseas and to play with that caliber of players, and and just to learn from those coaches and some of the leaders that we had, and just to grow my game personally.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the roster, some of the guys, some names that I had seen on teams I've been with, but a few guys that have been, spent some time in the NHL. It was, there's no doubt it's a.
I think one of the guys played in Wheeling might have when you were there, DeFazio.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was a late
he played
season acquisition. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
I know Ethan Werrick, I think I saw.
Ethan Werrick, he was unbelievable this year.
John Muse, I believe, who.
Cup
the year I was in Florida, and I just see it right. Is Devontae Smith-Pelly, was he there?
Smith-Pelly was there.
Well, yeah. So he played with the Capitals and the Anaheim Ducks. So yeah, I mean it's.
He's Stanley Cup there. Yeah, he was there. So
hockey. Well, I saw a clip, Huntsy. It's I think the team there tagged us in it, but it was a clip at the end of the game. Things were getting a little heated. I think you wanted to go with somebody, and the guy refused to go. So I saw you then. It was almost like you knew what you were going to do. So I saw you just punch the goalie in the head, and that got him to fight you. Was that planned? I saw that clip. They wanted us to see it. The team actually tagged us in it, so we saw the clip and it made its rounds. But that's one way to get everybody going, I guess.
Oh, I honestly can't even remember that. I remember one game we were playing a team and the goalie was a bit of a head case, and he was starting, and apparently he could really get into his head and get him off his game. But if you didn't, he was good enough to shut the door and steal him a game. So I think my job was to go out there and kind of stir it up a little bit and get him riled up. And I think his teammates probably knew that if I got under his skin, it wouldn't be good for them. So maybe he was just being a good teammate, sticking up for his goalie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. But that's the way I took it. So we'll get on with the questions here. Let's see who's on. I got a question here. Let's see here. Where are we at? We have an Amy on Twitter at Booklush is the handle. Obviously, she says she misses Hunt, but she goes, "What do you miss most about playing in Jacksonville?" Or she says, "Assuming you still miss Jacksonville, I know that you do. So, what do you miss? What do you miss about it?"
Oh, I definitely miss just kind of the. I don't want to put it on one thing. It's too hard to put one thing on what I miss, but I just miss like the location of Jacksonville, where the rink is set up. I love how it's right across from the baseball field, and then right there you got across the bridge coming in. You could see the rink every day. I would ride into the rink, and I would come over the bridge, and I'd pass the football stadium. Swing around past the ball stadium and come into the rink. And I thought the rink was just beautiful. I absolutely loved the rink. And then obviously one of my favorite memories is the first ever home game I played in Jacksonville. It happened to actually be my birthday. It was the inaugural year. It was my birthday. It was sold out. And I don't think we won, but I had a great first impression. And, I didn't think the fan support was going to be that good in such a warm city.
Yeah.
And ended up having a second home opener. I don't know if you know that we had 2 back-to-back home openers, and we did the fireworks and everything. And I honestly just couldn't believe that we had that we were sold out, and we were already sold out for the second home opener. So we had 2 home openers our first 2 home games, and that was a special moment for me. Obviously, teaming up with Jason Christie, the head coach there. And I always wanted to have an opportunity to play for him, and things just didn't line up beforehand. And, just to be able to work with him and come in and be the first player signed, it was a really special moment to come there to Jacksonville. And I'd still be playing there today if I didn't have the opportunity to go overseas. I know me and my family loved it in Jacksonville. The weather, and like I said, there's just so much to do, and I could just go on and on. It was one of my favorite places to play, and like I said, I'd probably still be playing there if I didn't have this opportunity.
Yeah, without question. And that was a lot of the fans were asking throughout the season to come up to me or the staff, why did Hunt leave? And basically, that was the answer. Was he has a tremendous opportunity he couldn't turn down over there in China, and everyone's like, oh wow. And for the most part, everybody was happy. The people that weren't were just because so that's always a kind of a home away from home here for you. You're looking at another question here, Joey here on Twitter. These handles are awesome. At Bad Pork 547 is the handle. He wants to know, what was kind of what was your path to the pros? And also, do you have any special pregame rituals or superstitions? I know some guys don't. If you don't have one, maybe just say one that you thought of from a past teammate that had an interesting one. That'll work as well.
Yeah. My path to where I am today, honestly, is just probably credit to my family, giving me the opportunity growing up. I played every sport growing up. My parents gave me the opportunity to try everything to see what I liked the best. And I just loved hockey. It was something that I couldn't replicate away from the rink. And for the couple hours a week back then, I just couldn't get enough of it. and I just loved it. My older brother, obviously, he's a year older. He was playing hockey, and I just wanted to be like him and try to be as good as him always. And now we're in our 30s, and we're still playing today, still competing against each other, and
Sure.
that's pretty much, it makes it easier in the summer when we're training. I have a training partner. Obviously, we live side by side, so he's my training partner, and we kind of do everything in the off season together. And it makes it work, and that's a huge credit to him. Obviously, being able to play this long, it keeps it fun. And every year, I look forward to getting a little bit better the next year. And obviously, I'm going into my, I think, 13th or 14th year professional, and I'm just trying to get better. And that's probably the main thing that I could say is just every year trying to get a little bit better, or trying to learn something new, or trying to learn a new skill. And that's definitely the biggest part. And then pregame rituals. I don't know. I was just actually talking to Wasey Rabbit about this the other day. Sorry, the mosquitoes are coming at me here. I don't know why. It's middle of the day. But yeah, I was just talking to Wasey about the pregame rituals and what we do, because we were all talking about it, the three of us, me, my brother, and Wasey. And that guy always talks about pregame and how intense he is. And my brother asked me, he says, what does Wasey do for pregame? That he's talking about his pregame. And I'm like, the guy comes into the dressing room, has a coffee, puts on some heat packs, and goes around and bugs everybody doing their rituals. He tries to get everybody off their pregame rituals. But
He's a social butterfly.
Yeah, he's a jokester, that guy. I just try to avoid him on game days because I stay focused. No, he's got some good rituals, but for me, I've been just doing the same thing for forever.
Yeah, you're talking about pregame rituals, Huntsy, and I know you're talking about your routine a little bit, and the routine of others. Wasey running around interrupting everybody. The short time I had a chance to work with you, and I'd see you in the hallway before a game or in the locker room, your face is about as intense as I've seen sometimes. There was no way I was going to come around you or ask you for an interview at that point, because I know you were a very focused guy.
Yeah, definitely on game days, it's all about the game. It's all the preparation throughout practice, throughout the week. Everything leads up to when you step on the ice, and I'm intense, and it's like I said earlier, it's not just the game day. It's the game day before.
Yeah.
It's the day before that. I have my rituals aren't just 20 minutes, an hour before the game. It's a lifestyle, and it's the way you got to do it if you want to stay on top of things and be focused. And and with Wasey, I'm just messing around. He just does that because I had to say that, or else. He's pretty serious. I mean, he obviously hasn't played as many games in years, probably without doing a good ritual. So he has a pretty good routine. It's working for him.
No, he does, and it was fun. I cracked up because I know exactly what you're talking about. And of course, he's just such a great.
He keeps it loose. He does. He's definitely a glue guy, and he's definitely a great leader, and just a really good guy in the room. And obviously, he made my life a lot easier having him there. I could bounce a lot of things off him, and when I got too fired up and too intense, he calmed me down and made me relax a little bit, because sometimes I get a little too fired up.
Well, let's go on with the questions here. Another question we got on Facebook was from Todd Wells, and he wanted to know how many Gordie Howe hat tricks you've had in your career, if you have, and of course those I know are
that's a tough one. Gordie Howe's. I actually haven't had a whole lot of Gordie Howe's. I try, and
yeah.
Says the hardest part's the fight, and for me, I think the hardest part's the goal.
Yeah.
But no, I actually have had some Gordie Howe hat tricks, and they're actually pretty memorable ones for me. One, I actually had a Gordie Howe hat trick in one period. I had actually a goal and assist, 2 fights in one period.
Wow.
And in order to get that, I had to get the fight on the first shift, and the goal and the assist in the middle, and then the fight on the last shift before the second period. But that was a good game. That was actually in Vancouver when I was playing for the Giants. Oh, my brother's coming back. He was on the other side, swimming back over.
Hey, there he is. There's Trevor. All right. Did he swim across the lake from the other side? Is that?
Yeah, he swims every afternoon. We do work during the day. We were working on we're putting a tin roof on his place here, so we usually take a break. I have lunch. He usually does a swim. He doesn't like to run anymore, so he usually swims to the other side and swims back in the afternoon.
Shirts are optional in this interview. I should get joined.
It's so hot. It's too hot. We don't like man lines up here. We don't really have a whole lot of neighbors, so
yeah,
it's all good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, we'll wrap it up here, Huntsy. It's fun. We did have a Missy Winand who posted here on Facebook, and obviously echoing the sentiments of a lot of fans. They certainly miss you and all that. But basically asking, do you miss the chocolate chip cheesecake cookies? Was this something that was on the bus? Maybe, I don't know. Given after the game,
I'll say hi. I'll say hi to her. I remember those kept me through those long road trips going to South Carolina, and all those trips. She would always wait after the games and have some cookies for me. And it wasn't just me that enjoyed those; all the boys loved those cookies. I mean, she made enough for not just me, so that was very, very nice, and I was definitely thankful for those. I didn't really get too many of those overseas in Russia and China, so those were great. And there's a lot of great people in Jacksonville that that made my life a whole lot easier over there, and made my experience just that much better. And no matter where you go, it's the people and the places and the cities that you go that make your stay or your visit obviously worthwhile. And really that's what it's all about. And coming back from Jacksonville, the people and everything was great, and the weather was obviously just a bonus.
That it was, for sure. Well, the final question we have, and honestly, there was probably 5 or 6 people that asked it, and I'm even interested there as well to this question, but it's a simple one, but a chance, no doubt, for your team in China there, the Red Stars, to make some money, because people want to know where they can get a jersey from the team. Are those available to the public? And people in the States purchase the Red Stars jersey because everyone's they're hype about them. They're really sharp.
Yeah, they are really cool jerseys. They got the gold and the red and the white. Yeah, they're awesome jerseys. I'm not too sure. I know that our team it's hard because like I said, we're switching home rinks. Like they played in Shanghai 2 years ago, then we started in Shenzhen, and then we were in Beijing, and I think it's just it's hard. I know I got my jersey at the end of the year, so I was pretty happy. I like to have a jersey from every rink that I have played in, or every place that I've played. And I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into that. I know my mom and my nanny were over for Christmas, and we had a team Christmas party, and the general manager got everybody, all the families, jerseys. So my mom and my nanny both got jerseys. So I don't know where he got them. I think he got them from the store or something, but he had the name on the back and the number. So that was pretty first class and pretty cool of the organization to have jerseys and that for all the family at the Christmas party. But I don't know. I'll have to look into it and get it back to you, and then we could post it on where we can find them.
All right. Sounds good. We got an informant now for all the fans out there wondering. So
yeah.
Well, listen, Huntsy, it's been great to catch up with you. And more importantly, I'm glad that, and I speak up for a lot of the people here, the staff and the fans, you're glad to see you safe and everything's going well. Obviously, it's going great for you right now as we look at where you're
Yeah.
But certainly,
like I said, though, we were working all morning. We've been putting tin roof up all morning. That's why I come down here after I go for my run. I jump in the lake after he swims, and then we're done about the same time, and then we do the night shift, and we start working on it again.
Well, that's great. That's awesome. Always working, and I don't want to take too much of your downtime right now. But hey, again, a lot of people miss you as well, and it was great to catch up with you, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, and tell everybody in Jacksonville, I miss everybody there. Like I said, I had an awesome time, and it's not that I wanted to leave. It's just I had a really good opportunity, with hockey and trying to get move on and move up in the ranks, I guess you could say. But I mean, say hi to everybody in Jacksonville. Obviously, all the staff, everybody, Bob and Jason Christie, and they were all great and first class. And make sure you say hi to everybody for me.
Will do, buddy. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the lake there.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Let's kick it.